I'm gonna be watching a like a little video essay about a movie called Good Will Hunting, bro. It's a very good movie. So yeah, there are gonna be spoilers in this. I have seen it. But yeah, I like it, bro. It dives. It's like very psychological. It dives into like relationships, and you know, coping mechanisms that people have to relationships and connection and stuff like that. And yeah, Goodwill. What? And this is called Good Will Hunting: Overcoming Fear. Let's watch. Let's watch.
What are you
Video
so
essay.
scared of?
What am I so scared
This is a
of?
great movie, bro.
Fear is an unusual part of life, and it manifests itself in all sorts of different ways. The fear can be something small and in the moment, or something deeper and more extensive. Whether the threat is real or imaginary, fear triggers a defensive response, causing the person either to become physically aggressive or to flee the scene to retreat to safety. Gus Van Sant's Good Will Hunting is a subtle examination in fear and how, if you let it, it can constrain your potential.
So Gus Van Sant, I'm guessing he's the director, because I know Matt Damon here and Ben Affleck. They're the one who originally wrote it, but then they got someone else to, you know, they sold the script to someone else, and they had to be the main character. Like they picked who they wanted to be, and yeah, I guess Gus Van Sant must have got made the final product or something.
And even push you away from what you really want.
This is a banger movie, bro. You gotta watch it.
Let's take a look at how Will Hunting has his fears confronted and relieved by Sean Maguire over the course of
R.I.P.
just
Robin Williams,
8
bro.
face-to-face interactions, and how Sean breaks through Will's defense mechanisms to change him for the better. The very opening shot tells us a lot about Will. He lives alone in a single dark room. The blinds are pulled, shielding him from the outside world as he indulges in what he secretly loves: reading. This immediately tells us that Will is afraid to be seen for who he really is. Will was moved around a lot as a kid, between foster homes and juvenile detention centers. He now lives a small life built on routine. He gets picked up by his best friend Chuck every morning. They hang
Ben
out,
Affleck.
drive around, drink beer, and get in fights. As things stand, his future is just this. It's the life he knows, and therefore what is perceived to be safe. But Will has a secret curiosity about what else is out
Guy's a
there for
genius.
him. He hides his motivations from even himself, choosing to be a night janitor at Harvard. This is his way of subconsciously
Yeah, and this dude was in the movie. He's working two jobs. He's working like demolition, breaking down buildings, and then he's a janitor.
scoping the place out for a while, almost pretending he was accepted there by walking the halls at night and soaking up the atmosphere. Then he sees a mathematical theorem left on the chalkboard for the students who were accepted to solve. Only a handful of people in the world could solve this theorem, and as it turns out, Will is one of them. Almost like a secret love affair, Will's passion for mathematics can only be revealed late at night, while no one else is around, as Will has two contradictory fears driving him: the fear of being stuck here forever and never unlocking his potential, and the fear of unlocking his potential and failing.
Bro, you're just gonna go with it, you know?
Night, while no one else is around, as Will has two contradictory fears driving him: the fear of being stuck here forever and never unlocking his potential, and the fear of
Okay, number one, fear of being stuck here forever and never unlocking your potential. Two, fear of unlocking his potential and failing. Bro, two is a much better choice for everyone, because you know you don't want to be on your deathbed and wondering, oh, what if I try to do that? You know, what if I started that hobby, maybe started a business, stuff like that, you know? Stuff that you dream of doing. You gotta try it, bro. Because at least it's better to know than wonder. That's what I say. It's better to know than wonder. You don't want to be dying, bro, and just imagining, oh, what if I started that YouTube channel? What if I did this? What if I did that? No, you gotta try, bro. And even if you don't make it, I don't see it as a failure, because you learned something, and you know now.
unlocking his potential and failing.
And that's for everything, bro.
This attitude is the polar opposite to the students and professors at Harvard who fear being perceived as not smart enough. This is shown when Professor Lambeau or obnoxious students like Clark are always flexing their intellect to try to attract women.
I was just hoping you might give me some insight into the evolution of the market economy in the southern colonies.
This clashes with Will's worldview, as life has conditioned him to hide his abilities, causing him to resent those who posture their intellect in public. So Will keeps his identity a secret, letting the work speak for itself at a safe distance. The Harvard community are puzzled, as in their world, there is a clear incentive to come forward and receive praise, so the mystery of the secret genius grows. When Lambeau discovers Will writing on the chalkboard and confronts him, Will runs away, not wanting to be seen, as he is scared of being perceived to want more, as that betrays the life he has built with his loyal friends. But he also holds a resentment of the education world, fearing that he won't be accepted in it. This constant push-pull feeling inside of him, lying to himself about what he really wants.
I kind of feel this, you know? Like, this guy's really smart, but all of his friends and stuff like that, you know, I'm not like him whatsoever in that sense. And it's kind of like me, not really with my friends, because, you know, me and my friends, we like, there's some things that, you know, we're not like at all. But there's other that do. But for me, like, this is like, for, like, at work, you know, obviously I don't, like, with friends, you know, you kind of have a decision who you want to be friends with. But, you know, at work, it's not like that. But at work, you know, I get along with all the fellas at work, but everyone sticks together, bro. Like, for lunch and, you know, smoker and stuff like that. But I just go to my car and eat, like, in my car by myself. But it's not like, you know, like, they don't want me there. Like, they'll probably want, like, you know, they'll probably rather me have lunch with them, but it's just, I'm just not like, I get along with them, bro, you know, we can have good chats and that, but everything that they talk about and, like, that I'm interested are nothing alike at all. You know, lots of them are cars, they're into cars, like, drinking, stuff like that. That's not me whatsoever, you know? But yeah, that I kind of get that, you know, with his friends and that, completely different.
After being arrested for assault, Will is sentenced to jail time, and Professor Lambeau steps in, the court allowing Will to be released under his supervision under two requirements: that he solves mathematical equations with him, and that he also attends therapy. Will rejects the idea of therapy, but now has a safe excuse to truly test his potential. Will always wants an out, an excuse in case he fails, so being forced into it by the courts relieves some of his personal responsibility. But to Lambeau's disappointment, Will refuses to take therapy seriously. Having been abandoned by his parents and abused in foster care homes, Will has an inherent distrust of authority figures, and instead uses these sessions as a chance to outsmart the psychologists to prove they don't deserve his trust.
Look into my eyes.
Get out, Will.
I don't need therapy.
Enter Sean, the last option, who from his very first scene sums up what he is all about.
Trust.
He also grew up in Southie and was
real.
Lambeau's former college roommate. Session 1.
It's a poker game with this kid. Don't let him know what you got.
Sustain damage.
Just like the others,
Sustain,
Will's
I mean,
defense
sustain.
starts with offense. He tests Sean, inspecting the books in his office, trying to read him as a man. He views these books as mere props, as if Sean is just another posturing intellectual, so challenges him on that front. But there are small moments that Will can't win on. First, he sees a photo of Sean serving in Vietnam,
Dang, bro,
and
went to
secondly,
Nam?
asks him how much he
Vietnam?
benches. Realizing Sean benches more than him, Will
Ooh.
retreats and shifts topic, until
Like
he
that
finds
strength.
Sean's weakness. He makes a reading off a painting and goes straight for the jugular, unaware that Sean's wife is dead.
Bro, but you see what Will's doing here? You know, he's just trying to find something to attack him on. And straight away that shows that shows that he's hurt somewhere, you know? Because he's using this to cope his own insecurities and pain. So he's trying to expose or, you know, belittle, like find cracks in Sean. Right here.
Why'd she leave you? Was she, you know, banging some other guy?
Sean snaps and gets physical with him, speaking a language Will understands. He freezes with fear. Will may have won by getting under his skin, but was also the first to retreat. After the first session, Will meets Skylar for a date, and it goes really well. They make each other happy, and there is potential for a
These two actually got, like, they were actually a couple from the movie for a bit.
meaningful relationship
how it ended,
if
but
Will
yeah.
is open to the idea of having one. Session 2. After Will's reckless comments temporarily turned Sean's life upside down, he brings Will out into the real world instead of staying in his office, so he has nothing to deflect to. By not running away
Smart.
like the other therapists who had their ego hurt, Sean is proving his dedication to Will. But he proceeds to break Will's ego down by stripping his opinions of their power, reminding him of everything he doesn't know.
You've never been out of Boston. I bet you can't tell me if you've never been near one. But you can't tell me what it feels like that you've never looked at a woman and been totally vulnerable. You don't know about real loss.
He exposes Will as a fraud who just regurgitates what he has read out of a book, making him no better than Clark from the Harvard bar.
Yeah, none of the stuff he's saying is, you know, he's actually experienced.
But while belittling Will, Sean reveals parts of his own life experience. This leaves Will speechless and sets an example for him that vulnerability isn't a weakness.
Bro, and this is a thing about advice, and I try to do it. If I, you know, I like giving advice to people, and I've said for a while now, if I ever go to university, which I haven't gone to university whatsoever, probably will never, but if I did, probably be for psychology, you know, be a psychologist or therapist or something like that, because I like giving advice to people, and when I do, you know, when people need advice about anything, bro, relationship, like, just goals, procrastinating, stuff like that, you know, I like it. It feels good, you know. It's like, you know, fulfilling, you know, helping someone and stuff. And I think a lot. I'm a very deep thinker, so, you know, I think I believe I give out some solid advice. But yeah, you know, I try to do what, you know, he did as well. Like, give him advice, tell him, like, things to think about, but also, you know, give him some of my own experiences to show that I can relate and stuff like that. Because if you're just saying what to do and all this stuff, but you never tell them stuff about yourself, it might make them feel a certain way, you know? It's like, oh, you're saying this, but, like, have you felt it? And then you tell them that you've been through it or felt it. It builds more of a connection, and then it helps them trust in what you're saying more.
After the second session, Will is shaken. He's too scared to call Skylar out of a fear that she won't accept him, even choosing to lie to his friends about it.
He's being avoidant.
So Will is now more aware that he's not as cool or experienced as he used to think he was. This defensive shield that he's developed is holding him back. Session 3. Given it is court-mandated therapy, Will could always give himself an out, as he's forced to be there. But by refusing to initiate any conversation and just wasting the session in silence, Sean proves Will doesn't have to talk to him unless he wants to, meaning Will has to actively choose to engage in therapy. This way, there is nowhere to hide. After the third session of pure silence, Lambeau helps Will to explore his unemotional, purely intellectual path. He views Will as his protege, which validates a lot of Will's fears of not being accepted. Session 4. Will finally breaks his silence by deflecting to a joke
Bro
set
is
on the plane.
actually sleeping.
You ever been on a plane?
Sean asks him if he's ever been on a plane, reminding Will of their new dynamic, that Sean is an authority figure due to his real-life experience. Feeling insecure, Will tries to boast about his sex life and how things are going with Skylar, but expresses uncertainty moving forward, as she is perfect in his imagination right now, and if he sees her again, she may disappoint him.
See, oh my gosh, this is real. He was like, oh, she's perfect right now. You know? I don't want to mess it up. Like, she's perfect. And he's like, the therapist, Sean, he's like, what if you're perfect right now? You don't want to mess that up. You know what I mean? And like, this is a thing about crushes and that most people don't know until they get into it, is that, you know, everyone's got flaws, everyone's got red flags, everyone's got all that. But what a crush is just, you know, it's not real. You just see them. It's like an onion, bro. You see the, like, say it's an onion and it's beautiful at the front. There's layers, bro. There's layers, you know? And a crush is just seeing a girl or guy that you like, and then everything else is built on your imagination. Everything else is built on the what if, what it could be. You know, it's not real, bro. And this is what Will's talking about here. Oh, she's perfect right now. I don't want to wreck it because he's just got a crush on her.
This is Will's way of framing the situation as within his control, but Sean turns it around on him. That maybe what Will really fears is that he's the imperfect one, and that he may not qualify for her.
But I think that's a super philosophy, Will. That way you can go through your entire life without ever having to really know anybody.
As Will reflects, Sean launches into a story about how his wife used to fart in bed. Will is shocked by the honesty, and they share...
Oh yeah, Sean's like, oh, the little, he said idiosyncrasies of life, you know? That you build up with a partner, like a life partner. You guys know you guys know things about each other that no one else in this world like knows, and that's something special, you know?
A deep laugh about it. This is how Sean makes Will's biggest fear, real intimacy, sound appealing. That flaws and imperfections are not deal breakers, but the best part. Will then turns it around on Sean, asking him if he intends to remarry. And when Sean says no, Will uses his own quote
I don't know,
against
Jelly.
him.
Well, I think that's a super
If you want.
philosophy, Sean. I mean, that way you could actually go through the rest of your life without ever really knowing anybody.
See, like, he's just using it against him, you know? He's just using it against him, bro. Okay, yeah. But bro's just regurgitating. You know how he said, oh, Sean's using real experience and he's just regurgitating? Will's doing the same thing right here about, you know, the connection thing. About him not wanting to, like, really connect with people or get deep into it because they're perfect right now because it's just a surface level stuff. Surface level, like a crush. And if you really dive deep, then you'll see the cracks in the armor. You'll see the imperfections, all that. And then he's like, oh, why don't you remarry? Blah, blah. It's just, that's not the same, bro. That's just not the same. And, bro, you know what? Something I think is so sweet, bro? What's it called? I forgot her name. Steve Irwin's wife. Steve Irwin's wife. The late Steve Irwin, his wife. She was interviewed saying, will you ever go on a date again? You know? Because Steve Irwin died 2006 by stingray in the Great Barrier Reef. And she was like, no, I would never date anyone. She hasn't gone on a date since, you know, Steve passed. Because she said, I've already had my happily ever after. You know? Like, oh my gosh, bro. You know? Like, imagine, like, you know, someone loving you so much. Like, a girl loving you so much. That even after you die, she's still loyal to you, you know? That's love, bro. That's real. That's real, bro. She hasn't gone on a date because she's already... Even though Steve died, like, 18 years ago this year. 19 years ago this year. 2025. He's like, no, I'm not gonna date again. I've already had my happily ever after.
This shows that Will is now imitating Sean the same way that he learns from books. After the
Facts, that's what I just said before.
Well, I think that's a super philosophy, Sean. I mean, that way you could actually go through the rest of your life without ever really knowing anybody.
This shows that Will is now imitating Sean
Yes,
the
this is
same
what I
way that
just
he
said.
learns from books. After the 4th session, Will sneaks into Skylar's dorm. Before knocking on her door, he steals an intimate moment by just listening to her sing. It's not perfect, but he still
Aw,
likes
singing,
it,
bro.
now
I
putting
like
Sean's
that.
lessons into action. He takes her out, and she asks about his upbringing. Will is defensive, but does answer her, revealing he has 12 brothers, but
That's
doesn't
a lie.
explain the full truth as to why, that he's an orphan, as she hasn't earned that yet, and he still fears the truth could expose him too much, and that she'll abandon him. Session 5. Will politely asks Sean if he regrets loving his wife as he ended up losing her. This highlights Will's fear of abandonment, as he is
Yes.
already looking for a way out with Skylar, hoping that he can justify it to himself.
Bro, because I'm not, and you know, in the past, I've been involved with someone that is kind of like Good Will Hunting, a bit avoidant, you know. And this is the thing. This is about that people that can't commit because they don't want to put 100% of their love or, you know, trust into you. Because of the fact of if they do that, they'll get really hurt if it doesn't work out or you leave them. So usually they're the one who leaves you. Like they avoid you, like being avoidant. They like if any trouble occurs, you know, they just ignore it. They leave, and yeah, they can't commit, bro, because they're scared of getting hurt. And that's a problem. I don't know. Is it a problem or is it just a problem of who like if who I be with or something? Like me, I'm not like that at all. I'm 100% in. Like with a girl, bro, with a relationship, I'm 100% in. I'm all in. You know, I'm all in, bro. All my chips are in. They're all in, bro. I'm all in, and that's the thing. Like, even though it might not be such a long relationship, for me, like I get really hurt because you know I take it serious. Like I'm 100% in, bro. But people like Will Hunting here, he doesn't commit. Like it's very hard for him to commit from the fact of, you know, getting hurt. And that's also a reason why people are nonchalant or act like, you know, don't show feeling, don't show love, because they're using that as a wall, as a defense to not get hurt. They force themselves not to get attached and to love and stuff like that, because they've been hurt before and they don't want it to happen again.
That the relationship wouldn't be worth the pain. But
You know,
Sean
not
tells the
worth the
story
pain.
of how he
But
met
it
his
is,
wife,
bro.
that he had a ticket to the World Series, the biggest game in Red Sox history, but that he skipped the game because he went to pursue her instead.
I gotta see
Just
about a
slid my
girl.
ticket across the table and I said, "Sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl."
I gotta go see about a girl.
No, but
Sean reassures Will
that's your
that he
wife.
has no
No.
regrets about his decisions in life, as failure isn't about losing, it's about not even risking trying.
Yes.
In this conversation, the baseball game becomes a metaphor for life. That Sean doesn't regret getting to be a spectator at the game because instead he took the risk of being a player on
Just
the
to take
field
that risk.
by pursuing his wife. And that is how to live with no regrets.
You gotta try, bro.
After the 5th session, Will is more and more open to being intimate with Skylar. He chooses to let her into his world a little more by introducing her to his friends. It's going so well that she invites Will to move to California with her, as she has to move there for school. But this is too much too soon for Will, scared that if he takes that big a risk, it could fail. He starts to sabotage the relationship
Yep.
to protect himself from being out of control,
Lots of people do this.
expressing fears that maybe she'll realize that he's not what he appears and abandon him. Skylar triggers him by asking, "What are you so scared of?" Will spirals, deflecting blame anywhere he can, calling
See?
her privileged and
This is what happened to me before in the past with someone. You know, they start deflecting, and then, you know, and then they start using stuff about myself, you know, me being vulnerable to them about how I feel about stuff, as a weapon against me. Like, that's happened to me before. And yeah, this is like what he's doing here.
And out of touch, or maybe just using him. She tries to reassure him, but Will isn't ready to risk being loved, finally revealing that he's an orphan, not as a way to let her in, but as a way of pushing her away.
Don't you fucking bullshit me!
I love you.
Continuing to sabotage himself, Will loses interest in his work too, and when Lambeau confesses to resenting Will for dwarfing the accomplishments he centered his identity around, this confirms Will's fearful suspicion that everyone is just using him, so he starts lashing out in job interviews. Session 6.
Stop hiding.
Realizing Will is in full fear and defensive mode, Sean tries to cut through Will's force field with an incisive question.
You feel like you're alone, Will?
That question's real.
This is to try to make Will realize that he pushes people away to not feel tested, as when you are tested, you might lose. He asks Will what he wants, and Will deflects to the safety of what he knows, giving unserious answers. Sean decides to kick Will out to not reward this behavior, as they had made such progress already. The reason Will can't answer what job he wants is that he doesn't want any of them. He wants to go to California with Skylar, but he's too scared to admit it, making every other path he could pick a failure by default, as he is betraying himself. After session 6, Will calls Skylar to wish her well on her trip. She reinforces that she loves Will, but given he has had so many disappointments,
and this is such a real thing. This happens to so many people. Like, this girl loves you, bro. You know you, deep down, you want to be loved, but it's just in your head. All the times you've been betrayed, all the times people you couldn't count on people, you know, and you let those past experiences predict what you do, you know. And I've said this to someone before. It's like, you know, like I was talking about. I've had an experience, you know, with someone that's avoidant and stuff like that. I said to her, bro, I was like, you know, like, you don't trust me here. Like, trust me here, you know? And how you gotta be more open and more transparent. And, like, I know why I know the reasons why she was like that, and they're bad. But I was like, you know, I have nothing to do with the things that make you feel this way, the things that built up these walls, like those bad experiences. You know, I understand why you're avoiding and stuff like that, and sometimes you fully can't be 100% in because you've built these walls to defend yourself so it doesn't happen again. But you know, I didn't build those walls, you know, so like, can you try to take those walls down for me? Because I'm not the reason that you built them. And this is what Will has to do with Skylar, bro. Skylar isn't part of the reason. He has the walls up, like the defenses. But he's still got them up. He hasn't worked on it. He hasn't beat him yet. And this stuff is a reason why, you know, he's lonely. Because he's scared of commitment. And yeah, he's just scared of losing her. Because if she becomes her, like his, they become a thing. If he loves her, that means that's something he can lose. That's something he can lose.
Lambeau and Sean recently, he just hangs up. Although he can't express what he wants with words, his actions tell another story, and he sits to watch her plane leave. The opportunity flying away above him, symbolizing his fear physically tying him to the ground.
Dang.
When Chuck asks Will about why things didn't work out with Skylar, he leaves out critical details from the story, like that she didn't actually abandon him, that he just chose not to follow her.
Because he knows his boy's gonna flame him.
Seeking out comfort in his decision to stay, Will expresses that he looks forward to growing old around here with Chuck. But Chuck shuts down that possibility, revealing that he would resent Will more for staying, not for leaving. This teaches Will that people that love you may push you away because they want the best for you. You don't always have to earn their love through sacrifice. Session 7.
Like go over the past.
In a true head versus heart debate, Will walks in on Lambeau arguing with Sean over his future, both symbolizing the types of man Will could become. Hearing Sean defend him and echo the same concerns about Lambeau's proposed path for him makes Will feel under.
See? Like, Will seeing this, it's kind of like a feeling of like watching two parents argue, bro. Or like two important figures argue, which it is, kind of. Because he's like, you know, with the math side, and Sean with the psychology, helping him open up and stuff like that. And Sean, he's got pure, his motives are pure. His motives are pure. You know what I mean? Like, actually trying to help him generally, but what's this guy here, the math dude, you know, all he's thinking about is business. Oh, imagine all the good things he can do. Like, he's so smart, he can do this, he can do this. But Sean, you know, he needs help. He's been pushing away people because he's been abandoned his whole life, so he can't trust. Like, I'm trying to help him. But him, oh, he's got a math, blah, blah, blah. So Sean's, I'm on Sean's side, bro. He's got pure intentions.
Understood. After Lambeau leaves, Sean reveals Will's file, which contains intimate details of past abuse.
Dang, he was abused in
He
foster
creates a
care.
safe space to discuss what happened by revealing his own abusive history. Sean reassures Will.
See, and this is what I mean about giving advice, and then telling them your personal like experience as well, because it helps them relate and trust you more.
Over and over again, that all of these traumatizing things that happened to him are not his fault.
It's not your fault.
And it's not your fault, Will. It's not your fault.
Because for someone as smart as Will, who can solve the world's most complex theorems, he has always believed he was a failure for not finding a way out of that situation. He didn't have the answer, and he couldn't control anything, making it harder for him to trust others as well as his own decisions. Although there is a final flash of defense, Will accepts Sean's embrace and finally rids himself of the responsibility of his childhood. After the 7th session, Will ends up accepting a local job offer. Session 8. In their final official session, Will finds it difficult to let go of Sean, who has now become the first positive father figure in his life. Given that Sean is perceived to be a failure by Lambeau and has lost more than most people have ever even had, he is an ideal example for Will to aspire to, as he demonstrates that perceived failure and loss is nothing to fear. Sean secures trust in this father figure position by proving he's reliable. He gives Will his phone number and states that he can call anytime. But Sean has also seen parts of himself in Will, as he's been avoiding taking risks since he lost his wife. He chooses to open himself up to the world again by traveling more and seeing what his luck brings. After his final session, Will's friends give him a life-changing birthday gift, a car. It may not look like much, but it symbolizes so much more. Free will. He isn't limited by public transport or rides from friends. He can go anywhere, and it's as if they will always be with him. Now feeling secure, Will decides to leave all of this behind, emulating Sean abandoning the baseball game for what he knew was right for him. Because Will now knows what type of man he wants to become.
This is great.
And that's how, with patience and goodwill, Sean changes Will Hunting for the better over the course of 8 sessions. From the beginning of the story, Will has always felt trapped in foster care homes, in detention centers, in Southie, even under Lambeau's supervision and guidance. He's always been moved around like a pawn on a chessboard. But Sean unlocked Will's ability to choose what he wants for himself.
This is so good.
So he follows his heart and drives to California to risk it all with Skylar.
Amazing movie, bro.
And while the opening shot was Will stuck in a small dark room with the blinds shut, reading about other people's experiences as a prisoner of fear,
He's gonna make
the
his own.
final shot is him driving down an open road, truly living with unlimited possibility.
Bro. This makes me happy, bro. This makes me smile. This is so good. Great vid. Oh my gosh. I really like this vid, and of course...
Well,
It was a great movie, bro. Great movie. But yeah, overcoming fear. Some of the psychological stuff of Good Will Hunting, bro. Amazing. If you if you watched it, there you go. If you haven't watched it, dang, it got a bit spoiled. But even though, there's some spoilers in this that I've talked about, it's still definitely worth a watch. Good Will Hunting is an amazing movie. One of my top movies, bro. I enjoyed it. And it's like, like, especially for, like, a young person. I'm not gonna say young man, young girl, whatever. A young person, bro. Like, lots of people, like, there's still a lot of life that I got to experience. And there's lots of still big moments I haven't had. So, if, as a young person, watching Good Will Hunting, it really dives deep into, relationships and, just overcoming fear, as this video is about. Yeah, great vid. Oh my gosh. Let me know what you felt in the comments, and yeah, thank you for watching.